What if success wasn't random? What if there was a pattern? A repeatable process that turns ordinary people into extraordinary legends. Not the kind of success you see on Instagram, rented cars, fake smiles, forced confidence. I'm talking about something real. Success that's built, not bought, forged in thought, shaped by inner laws. In 1908, a young journalist named Napoleon Hill met with Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men in history. But instead of asking for money, he asked for wisdom. That conversation sparked a 25-year journey, during which Hill studied over 500 of the world's most successful people, including Ford, Edison, and Rockefeller, and uncovered one life-changing truth. Success isn't luck, it's a science. And in today's video, we're going deep. Hill discovered the 16 timeless principles that some of the most powerful minds in history used. But there's a twist. Most people read this book and still stay stuck because they miss one hidden force, a final law that unlocks them all. We'll uncover that law in this video. So if you're ready to think differently, live intentionally, and design your success, subscribe now and join thousands of others building a life on purpose, not autopilot. Because what's coming next, it could change the way you see everything. Chapter 1. The origin of all success. Every extraordinary life begins with something deceptively simple: clarity. Not hustle, not luck, not even talent. But a definite chief aim is a single burning direction. Most people drift through life like a boat without a rudder, busy but going nowhere. Napoleon Hill believed this was the root of mediocrity. He found that every successful person he studied, from Edison to Carnegie, had one thing in common. They knew exactly what they wanted. Not vaguely, not someday, but precisely, clearly, obsessively. When you know your aim, your life aligns like iron filings to a magnet. Your mind becomes selective, focused, and that clarity births something rare: self-confidence. But here's the thing: confidence doesn't come first, it's a consequence. It's what happens when your actions begin to match your inner direction. And once that match happens, the fire starts. You stop waiting for permission, you stop asking if you're ready, and you start. That's what Hill called initiative, the spark that separates dreamers from doers. It's the habit of moving forward, even when messy, uncertain, or inconvenient. The world doesn't reward ideas. It rewards execution. But initiative alone isn't enough. You need imagination. Not just the kind that dreams, but the kind that solves. Practical imagination. The kind that looks at a blank wall and sees a business, a movement, a future. Hill believed imagination was the workshop of the mind, the place where desire is shaped into plans, and plans become reality. If success has a birthplace, this is it. Chapter 2. Building mental power. Real power doesn't come from control over others. It comes from mastering yourself. Napoleon Hill observed that the most successful people had one thing in common. They operated by personal standards, not external rewards. They didn't ask, "What will I get if I do this?" They asked, "Who will I become if I do this consistently?" That's the essence of doing more than you're paid for. It's not about exploitation, it's about expansion. When you give more than expected, you create compound returns through relationships, trust, opportunity, and skill. But to keep giving, you need something that isn't often taught: enthusiasm. Not surface-level excitement, but a deep sense of purpose. Enthusiasm is the quiet fire that makes effort feel meaningful. And when it's real, others feel it too. It opens doors that effort alone never could. Still, even with purpose, there's temptation. The urge to quit early, react fast, chase ease. That's where self-control becomes the hinge of growth. It's the ability to respond instead of react, to pause, to choose, to protect what matters most, even from your impulses. And then there's one final piece: saving. Not just money, but energy, attention, time. The truly successful treat every resource as finite. They do not act out of fear, but from clarity. Because when your priorities are clear, you stop wasting what matters. If you want to build mental strength, it won't come from intensity. It comes from rhythm, from showing up again and again, with discipline, depth, and direction. Because in the end, power isn't taken. It's earned, through choices no one sees until results speak for you. Chapter 3. Winning the Inner Battle. It's easy to be busy, much harder to be focused. Napoleon Hill saw that most people don't fail without effort. They fail from scattered effort. They try to chase everything and end up moving nowhere. That's why the ability to concentrate, filter out distractions, and commit fully to one meaningful goal is a rare advantage. In a noisy world, silence becomes a weapon, and clarity becomes currency. But even clarity can't protect you from setbacks. No plan is bulletproof. You will fail. You will be rejected, misunderstood, and doubted by others and yourself. Hill didn't shy away from failure. He embraced it, not as a defeat, but as feedback, as raw material. Because within every failure is a hidden signal, a lesson, a redirection. And for those who keep going, it often becomes the exact moment things start to shift. But staying in the game requires something deeper: tolerance. Not just patience with others, but strength in the presence of difference. To lead, grow, and build anything lasting, you must coexist with people who challenge you. It's not always comfortable, but it's essential. And running underneath it all is Hill's timeless filter, the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated, not because it's nice, but because it's wise. It builds trust, preserves dignity. It also creates momentum that you can't buy or fake. Some people try to outwork the world. Others try to outsmart it. But who will win in the long run? They learn how to work with it, thoughtfully, patiently, powerfully. That's not weakness, that's mastery. Chapter 4. The Mastermind Code. At some point on the path to success, self-discipline and focus stop being enough. You reach a threshold that cannot be crossed alone. That's where cooperation begins, but not the kind that's forced or transactional. Hill meant something deeper, a conscious alignment of purpose between people. Working together, not because you have to, but because you believe in the same outcome. The great achievers didn't just build empires, they built alliances. Ford had Edison, Carnegie had Schwab. Every visionary stood on a foundation of strong, trusting collaboration. Still, even great teams stumble, and that's where most groups fall apart. But the exceptional ones? They profit by failure. They analyze. They adapt. They ask hard questions without tearing each other down. Because in failure, there's information, there's honesty, and sometimes there's the missing piece you never saw coming. Hill called this level of collaboration the mastermind. Not a group, not a meeting. However, a third mind is created when two or more individuals harmonize their thoughts to pursue a single goal. This third mind is where innovation lives, where courage is multiplied, where blind spots disappear. You feel it when you meet someone, and the ideas come faster. When one conversation unlocks something you've been circling for months. When trust removes friction, and synergy replaces force. That's the power of a true mastermind. Some people spend their whole lives trying to be the smartest person in the room. The wise ones? They build better rooms. Chapter 5. Unlocking the Final Gate. What happens when discipline becomes effortless? When does focus no longer feel like a fight, but a natural rhythm? Napoleon Hill called this state cosmic habit force. It sounds mystical, but it's simple at its core. We become what we repeatedly do, and the longer we repeat, the deeper it sinks. Habits start as conscious choices. Then they become automatic, invisible, unstoppable forces. Think about gravity. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply pulls. Cosmic habit force is the gravity of your behavior. Once set in motion, it carries you towards success or failure, depending on what you've trained it to do. Most people never reprogram it. They let old routines, fears, and identities run the show. But those who understand this law know one truth. If you stay consistent long enough, your habits stop needing effort. They begin to carry you. That's when everything changes. Not because the world suddenly makes it easier, but because you became aligned with the laws that have always been there. When habit serves your vision, success becomes a consequence, not a chase. You've just explored the 16 timeless principles of success, according to Napoleon Hill. Defining a clear purpose, building unshakable confidence, taking bold initiative, and fueling it with imagination are key to developing mental discipline, embracing failure, aligning with others, and ultimately becoming one with your momentum. These aren't abstract ideas. They're patterns. And if you choose to live by them, they will shape you the same way they shaped the lives of Edison, Ford, and Carnegie. But here's the truth most people miss. Success isn't built in a weekend. It's built on quiet, consistent choices, small commitments, repeated daily, protected fiercely. So, if this video spoke to something in you, if it reminded you of what's possible, then don't let it end here. Subscribe for more deep dives like this. Share it with someone ready to rise. If you're looking to implement these ideas in your daily life, I highly recommend Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It translates Hill's philosophy into action. Because your success doesn't begin when the world notices you. It begins when you notice yourself and decide to lead.